India is the fastest growing market in the world, and it's at the core of every boardroom discussion around the world, be it North America, Europe, or Japan. Visteon, a $3.4 billion tier one enterprise, has had a strong presence in the country, and as the market moves towards more connected and electric future, it is looking at outpacing the market with a much more stronger presence. To discuss this and more, we have with us Mr. Aashish Bhatia, the president of Visteon India Limited, to share more insight into the India business plans. Mr. Bhatia, help us understand, you've been outgrowing the market over the last few years. Future is electric, connected, and you're right at the core of this growing end of the market. Help us understand how has the last couple of years been for Visteon India and what to look forward to in the coming couple of years.
Thank you, Ketan, and thank you very much for this opportunity. So, as you rightly said, that the trend in the automotive electronics sector that we are seeing is more and more focus on the cockpit. Those are the technology differentiators. They have become the buying decisions for many of the buyers, and we are rightly positioned with the correct strategy that we have been putting in place for many years to bring the right value proposition for our customers. In the last 2-3 years, what we have seen is there is more content per car that has gone in the cockpit area, and there is also more demand that is coming from the consumers for asking for these technology and these features.
So it actually puts you in a much sweeter spot,
Yes.
and your products are in a way becoming a differentiator.
Yes, they are becoming a differentiator, and I would say they are becoming the need, right? Everybody now wants the ability to be able to project their mobile phone onto the screen and get some kind of a similar experience that they are used to in the consumer electronics.
Right. Help me understand how has the business been over the last couple of years, and with the premiumization and with consumer looking for a lot more, connected technologies in the future. How do you see the potential of your business evolving?
Yeah. So I think there are a couple of very legitimate drivers that are really causing this shift, right? And so the first, of course, we saw that we discussed just now about the consumers that are asking for more technology that needs to be there. But then there are also other drivers, the ability for the hardware chips and the semiconductors to be able to deliver that kind of compute power, right, also facilitates us to put more content and more feature into the vehicle. Now, once you do that, then if you have more content, obviously you will need larger displays so that you have a larger landscape for the user to be able to interact with those feature content.
Right.
And then you also have the natural need and expectation to have a very intuitive interaction between the user and the display. So when you have more electronics, more compute power, more integration, more features, more content, larger canvases, we probably can see that there is more digitization of the cockpit, there are less dials and gauges, and there is more ability. And then you have the other players, like for example, the certification authorities such as Google and Android, that are also driving and defining what resolution of displays do we need, what size of display do we need. So all of that is adding more value and more content per car on the cockpit.
And that definitely means more business for you, higher order book. How has business grown so far, and what is your expectation? Are you going to be investing more money in capacity expansion, given the fact that the demand for more connected vehicles, more future-oriented digital interface that we're going to expect in the future? So you will also have to evolve your business plans accordingly.
Absolutely. So to do this, of course, there is a demand from the customers, the consumers, that automakers that is there. But for us to deliver that value, we have two main aspects, I would say. One is the people and the resources that will be the driving engine to deliver these value propositions. And the second will also be our manufacturing capability that we have in India, not only in capacity but also capability in terms of being able to create new technologies or new industrialization technologies. So we plan to invest in both. We are growing in our engineering footprint, in our engineering capacity, adding more capabilities to the engineering team here, and essentially being a full-fledged design development center with start from the first stage of the development to the end. In terms of manufacturing, we are of course expanding our state-of-the-art electronics manufacturing line by adding more automation, more SMT lines and so on. But then we are also doing something very interesting for you, which would be on the industrialization of display technologies.
Right.
So we are already invested in setting up additional lines to bring completely new display technologies to India, which we see there is a lot of demand from the customers, and it also create a completely new level of optical wow, the factor that the consumers can expect from the cockpit.
Right. What is the kind of investment that will call for, and what about hiring?
So
over a period of 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. So the time we are right now a little bit in an uncertain situation, but as a market, but the timing we are looking at close to about $50 to $100 million that we will need to invest with addition of a new plant that will also be required as the business grows. We are currently expanding our facility in Chennai, the plant that we have, and that expansion is already ongoing. We are adding this new industrialization technologies for displays and localization of those technologies, so that's an important dimension. And we are also, we have recently added a couple of new tech centers, and we are seeing how that growth goes and how the diversification.
Right. Help me understand you stressed on people and the need for talent and the tech centers. What's the kind of responsibility does Visteon have when it comes to the global scheme of things? And like you said, with expansion you need more people, so are you going to be hiring more people?
Yeah. So there are two things that we are seeing. Number one, as Visteon India, the engineering workforce that we have in India is an integral part of the global Visteon business. Right? So certainly, I don't believe there is any program which is happening in the world without having some level of participation, or if I can even say a major part of the engineering design development being done from the India tech sector. So some team is always involved in some global programs, that's for sure. There is also other aspects, since we have a full design center for catering to our India customers and India markets. We are also seeing these teams can also be a remote design development team for markets, to service markets outside India, for the export needs of the OEMs. Right now, as a talent pool, I see that there are new technologies that are required by our products, so we need to have more expertise in all those different domains, which are really the ecosystem players around the whole cockpit electronics, and we have to have a lot of collaboration and partnership with those ecosystem players, and we need those capabilities in the tech centers.
So we should call for more hiring in the future.
Much more, more hiring.
The other buzzword and future is electric, as people say, and you're going to have a critical role to play there with skateboard architectures, the need for more screens at the back and more connectivity solutions in the future. How do you see the role of electrification, and what part of the value chain would Visteon like to play? Battery management system is one of the core offerings that you have globally. Could we have those kind of solutions in India? So your view on electrification, and what's the focus for the future from Visteon India perspective?
Absolutely. So I think Visteon as a company is a technology company, and we really thrive on giving technology differentiation value to customers. So that's where we live off. We have our product portfolio as a strategy is always at the very entry level and the early stages of being capturing those new products and new technologies, so that we can offer the right value. The cockpit domain is, I would say, fairly mature, and there has been immense focus and developing all the new technologies on the cockpit. But there are a lot of synergies that we see from the expertise that we have in the cockpit, which can be leveraged into the electric vehicle space also, for doing similar gateway functions such as the battery management systems, which is one of the area that we look at. But it doesn't stop there, it is also going beyond to
so that's the starting point.
At the starting point, and then it also goes into the rest of the, I would say, interfaces, including the power electronics and the battery disconnectivity and so on. So that space is something which I think there is a lot of synergy and cohesion from the expertise that we have already. There are already global programs that we have launched with global giants and automakers on the electric vehicle battery management systems. And we also have innovation on those areas which we can talk in a few minutes on how do we bring the right again differentiation for them.
You are a significant player in two-wheelers cockpit as well, and electrification is taking off rather at a decent clip there. What about your ambition of getting into two-wheeler EVs? Is that an emerging growth opportunity that Visteon would like to participate in?
Yeah, as a company globally, not only in India, globally, we are very serious in picking up this trend and we have a clear roadmap of how do we have more engagement with the two-wheeler domain. So first answer is yes, this is a very significant and serious business for us. The drivers are same, that even in the two-wheeler domain, we see the consumers, the end consumers, they would like to have the same expectation, the same experience of a extended mobile phone experience on the vehicle cockpit. And therefore, and also maybe before that, since we are also seeing a faster adoption of electric vehicles in the two-wheeler domain, therefore there is more room to give more electronics enabled feature content to the consumer.
Right.
Those are the drivers, I think, which kind of again bring in a lot of synergy in what we are doing in the passenger vehicle space, and I'm pretty sure we will see more engagement.
Right. So while the last 3 years, you've grown at a handsome clip in India, and the future potential is also pretty bright, but you've been right in the middle of this semiconductor storm that has disrupted literally every factory around the world. Give us some insight of how has the experience been in the last 3 years, and how have you coped with it? Because chips are a core of every electronic equipment out there, and I would like to get some insight as well from you about whether we are out of it, and whether the worst is over and what to expect in the future. So just for our viewers, how did you manage the storm, and what to look forward to in the future?
Absolutely, very interesting question. I think most of the companies in this business of electronics have spent a lot of their time in the last 24 months, if I can say, understanding this dynamics and which was not too much that focus. So I think I would say there was a lot of learning, right? There was reaction, there were slow reactions, fast reactions, there was a lot of learning. But over a period of time, we have now managed it with all the relationships that we had with the SoC and other electronic manufacturers. We being completely intensively engaged in electronics, so we can produce nothing without all the chips. So there was a learning. We have coped with that, and there were good collaboration and support from the customers and also from our suppliers. But this means that we developed a very good understanding of the whole value stream and supply chain on the semiconductor side. And I think going forward, there are a couple of things that everybody needs to understand. One is, yes, we can have predictions that we are out of the crisis mode, or maybe certainly there is much better situation in 2023. The visibility is better. We are also seeing good support from the customers. They are able to give good clarity of the demands, and that kind of helps in making the whole process streamlined. But I think the dimension that I want to add here is two additional points. Number one is, while we see that there is a ease of the crisis, but the need for the number of semiconductors that will go into a vehicle or other applications is not going to slow down, right? So it is going to increase exponentially. So it is not clear to make a very hard forecast that yes, by this date or this month or this quarter, we will be out of the crisis and so on, because the demand will continue elsewhere, here and there, automotive or not. So we will constantly have to be on a watch and understand the whole value stream to have a better handle on how we can manage the supply. That's the first part of it. But I think the second part is, which I truly believe is also having more upfront collaboration and building that synergy between a tier 1 and an OEM and an SoC,
right,
which will bring in more certainty and more direction towards where we are heading, and that will create a better visibility and a better supply chain.
So you can't operate in silos. Rather, you're going to get lot more intricate in the future, and there has to be a lot more transparency in your plans and your forecasting, because that has been the biggest bugbear over the last few years in terms of managing the situation. So the 3-4 learnings that more collaboration, more transparency.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very good question. I think it's a very important point. So one thing fundamental is automakers are having a clear intention to have a connected relationship with their consumers even after the vehicle sale is done, right? And that is going to be enabled through the whole connected ecosystem. And the moment we say ecosystem, there are multiple companies, multiple players that are going to be operating, and someone has to have a responsibility to provide that platform for all these different parties to be able to interact, right? Only then the revenue stream will be generated.
Right.
So interestingly, in this domain of cockpit electronics, we are again at the center of that, right? There is a lot of interaction between the user and the cockpit, which also creates an opportunity for the cockpit to create a platform for third-party applications, apps, and others to create a revenue stream,
Right.
for other stakeholders, right? So in that scenario, again, the whole collaboration idea is that we are not only just talking of SOC, right? We are talking of multiple players now where we can collaborate and generate an extended revenue stream.
Fantastic. I think some great insights here. Thank you very much for talking to us, Mr. Bhatia.